Welcome. Tonight, we drift back, far, far into the past, to a time before screens, before clocks, before even the quiet ticking of gears. There were no alarm bells, no minutes, no deadlines, just the gentle rhythm of light and dark. A world where time moved slowly, almost silently, carried by the wind, the stars, and the shadow of a tree. You are now entering that world, a slower world, where we will quietly explore how ancient people measured time, softly, gently, one moment at a time. In the earliest human days, time was not measured with numbers. It was felt. Life rose with the sun and faded with the dusk. Early humans, wandering in forests and grasslands, didn't need a clock. Their bodies followed the light. When the sky brightened, they awoke. When darkness fell, they slept. Time, back then, was not a number. It was warmth. It was hunger. It was the shift of birdsong from dawn to dusk. It was the slow march of seasons. It was the scent of a ripened fruit and the feel of cold wind on the skin. They marked time through sensation, not schedules. The first humans may have noticed the moon, watching it shrink and grow across the sky. They may not have named it yet, but they watched it carefully. It hung above them like a soft, glowing guide. And perhaps they began to count. 1 moon, 2 moons, a pattern. Over time, the moon's cycle became their calendar. They knew when the full moon rose, it was time to move, time to plant, time to wait. Long before we had words like week or month, they had the sky. And so slowly, humans began to notice other patterns. The longest day, the shortest night, the point where the sun rose and fell. These observations gave birth to the very idea of a year. They saw the sun change position through the seasons. And in this gentle noticing, they created the seeds of timekeeping. Thousands of years passed. Settlements grew. Villages became cities. And in the fertile land of Mesopotamia, between the Tigris and Euphrates, people began to record what they saw. These early timekeepers watched the stars, the planets, and the wandering moon. They marked lunar phases on clay tablets. They created lunar calendars where a month began with the first visible sliver of moonlight. Time was recorded, but still never rushed. The stars moved slowly, and so did their lives. In these ancient cities, temples became centers of observation. Priests stood atop ziggurats, gazing at the skies. They watched the dawn, recorded eclipses, and slowly understood the turning heavens. Each star had its place. Each season its pattern. Time was divine, sacred, and connected to the gods. Further west, along the Nile River, the ancient Egyptians watched the sun with reverence. Every morning, it rose over the desert, bringing life to the river and the crops. To them, the sun was Ra, sailing across the sky in a golden boat. To understand time was to understand the will of the gods. The Chinese divided the day into 12 double hours. Each double hour was ruled by an animal, the same 12 you find in the Chinese zodiac. The night was divided with incense clocks, where the burning of fragrant incense marked time silently. A string would burn and fall, or a carved dragon would collapse, marking the hour. Time was scented, quiet, and sacred. The Chinese also used water clocks, complex devices with gears and floats, carefully calibrated to drip consistently. These clocks were used in palaces and observatories, marking imperial rituals and astronomical calculations. But even these machines did not rush life. They measured time, but they did not command it. In ancient Greece, time was a concept debated by philosophers. They used sundials, like the Egyptians, But they also began to think of time as a thing that could be divided, measured, compared. Thinkers like Aristotle pondered its nature. Was time motion? Was it a number? Or simply the measure of change? While some Greeks observed time for science, others thought about it for the soul. The Romans expanded these ideas. As their empire grew, so did their desire to manage time across great distances. They adopted Greek sundials, improved them, and spread them through the empire. Water clocks were placed in cities, in forums, in baths. Roman engineers created more sophisticated clepsydras. Some even rang bells when the water reached a mark. Still, time was seasonal. The length of hours changed. A winter hour was longer than a summer hour. It sounds strange to us, but to them it was normal. Time changed with the sun. And so across the ancient world, people watched the skies. In Babylon, in Thebes, in Athens, in Xi'an. They watched the rising of stars, like Sirius, whose reappearance signaled the flooding of the Nile. They watched the solstices, the longest and shortest days, and built temples aligned with them. From Stonehenge to Chichen Itza, stone and light met in quiet harmony. Time in the ancient world was not just measured, it was felt, sung, painted in myths, whispered in rituals. It passed, but it did not pressure. It flowed, like the rivers. It circled, like the moon. It rose, like the sun. And it set gently, as all things do. Imagine, now, standing in one of those ancient cities. The air is warm, the sky is clear, a soft shadow creeps across the sand. A bowl drips slowly in the corner of a temple. Somewhere, a priest watches the stars in silence. There is no clock, no rush, just breath, just being, just time, in its slowest, most sacred form. And as you lie back now, listening to the soft hum of this distant past, let yourself fall into its rhythm. Let the ancient time flow around you. No alarms, no deadlines, just the turning of the earth beneath you, the stars above, the slow passage of night into day, and day into night, again and again, forever. You are part of that ancient rhythm now, drifting slowly, gently, timeless. Sleep well, and may your dreams move as slowly as the shadow on an ancient sundial.